Now in the 8.2, we're working with the present value, right? So I'm going to be showing you here what happens when you miss some payments. So let's go ahead and read this. Now the question reads as follows. Molly wants to buy a house for her family for 100,000. She agreed to pay monthly installments of 10,000 rands on the loan, which incurred interest at a rate of 13.35% per annum compounded monthly. The first payment was made at the end of the first month after the loan was granted. All right. Now here we can see how much loan is this. Molly gets, she wants to buy a crib, right? So crib, 800,000 rand. So it means she got the money. She's happy. And then the bank said you will pay 10,000 rand, right? And then Molly was like, fine, right? And then the interest, it was 13.35%, right? And then again, Molly was like, it's okay, right? Divide it by 12, which means it's compounded monthly, right? Everyone is happy here, right? And then now again, Molly actually makes the payment a month after, so it means the banks are happy so far, right? Well, the first question now, it says now we need to show that the loan will be paid back in full after 200 months, right? Now to show that it will be full after 200 months, it means here we need to find what is n, right? We need to prove that n is going to be 200, right? Now to do that, when I use the present value formula, so present value, it is x into 1 minus 1 plus I into minus n to the power of minus n over I. Now very important, just to say this quickly, the value for n, right, it is the number of repayments, right? So it determines how many times have you paid the bank. Now according to the formula, this n, it means that if the number is the whole number, for example, if you get n is equal to 5, right, then this means the 10,000s, right, you paid them 5 times. You understand? Because it means now n is 5, it means you're paying the whole 5,000. The whole 10,000. I'm just making a distracted by the 5,000 we did in the previous question. The whole 10,000 here, it means you paid it in full, right? And then now let's say now, if now n becomes a decimal, 10,0562, for example, right? So this means that the 10 means that you paid the 10,000 in full. How many times? 10 times. Now what about the decimal here? The decimal here, the 0,0562, means now the amount that you paid on the last payment is less than the 10,000, right? It is less than the 10,000, but it doesn't mean that it is not a payment, right? So you did make payments, right? And they were equal payments, but then the last payment, that's when things changed, right? So this means now on the last payment, if you calculating n, for example, and then you get an n as a decimal, just know that that decimal, it tells you that on the last payment it wasn't the actual what? It wasn't the actual 10,000, but it was payment, right? So if I'm then asking you how many payments have you made in this particular scenario, the payments are going to be 11. It won't be 10, right? This is going to be 11 payments, but it's just that in those payments, 10 of the payments were exactly 10,000, but then the last payment was less than the 10,000. So I hope this makes sense. All right. So now here, going back to the question, we need to prove or we need to calculate n. So we need to show that the loan will be paid in full after 200 months, which means we need to calculate n. So now to calculate n, number one, what I need to do is I need to isolate n. Right, which means making n the subject of the formula. So how do I do that? So what I do is I'm going to cross multiply this I with PV, so it's going to be I times PV equals to x into 1 minus 1 plus I into to the power of minus n. And then from here I'm going to divide by x both sides so that this x cancels with that. Then I have I times PV over x becomes 1 minus 1 plus I into minus n. I take this part that has n that I need across. So if I take this across, I'm taking this one this side, and therefore I have 1 plus I to minus n as 1 minus I times PV over x. And then I want to calculate I, so therefore using logs, I'll say minus n. I want to calculate n, so I'll say minus n. It is equals to log, what is my base? My base is 1 plus I, and then the constant, I like to call it a constant, it is I times PV over x. So that's, but the reason why I call it a constant, it will be for another day. So that's n equals to minus log 1 plus I into 1 minus I times PV over x. So that's basically how I'm going to calculate my n, right? So therefore, all I need to do now is just substitute and press everything on the calculator. So when I'm substituting, it's going to be 1 plus, now what is my I? My I is 13.35% over 12, 1 minus 13.3%, sorry, 0.35% over 12 times 800,000. Make sure I put in enough zeros. Then over 10,000. Alright, now press this on your calculator. Let's go ahead. So in our calculator we say minus log, right, and then we're going to open a bracket there, 1 plus 13.35%. so when you're writing this, please be sure that you write it carefully because you don't want to miss anything. And then here you're going to say 1 minus, then I'm going to put a fraction, and then I want to have a fraction on top, so I'm going to put a bracket and say 13.35%, then I say over. See, that's how you put a fraction within a fraction. Put it by having a bracket. So I'm going to say times 800,000 over 10,000. Alright, let's see. There we go. You see, we're getting 199, comma. So make sure that you write all of it. 50,83362. 50,83362. Right. Now, what does this thing mean? Again, just like I said earlier, this means now here that 199 tells you that the payments that we made there were exactly 10,000 rands. But then the decimal here, it only shows you that the payment that was made, or which was the last payment, it basically tells you that the last payment was less than 10,000 rand. But in total, the payments that were made here were 200, and then those 200 payments, they were basically payments that show you that that's how Molly will settle the loan. So that is the answer that we're getting there. All right, now let's go ahead and look into the second one. So second one, it is 8.2.2. now in the 8.2.2, let's see, 8.2.2 says, now suppose Molly encountered unexpected expenses, okay, and was unable to pay any installment at the end of 1/20th, 1/21st, and 1/22nd and 1/23rd months, right? So she missed 4 payments. At the end of the 1/24th month, she increased her payment to still pay off the loan in 200 months by making 77 equal monthly payments. All right, okay, cool. So now here the question is this: calculate the balance on the loan after the 119th payment that was made. All right, so here they want us to calculate the outstanding balance. Now this is an outstanding balance, right? So outstanding balance we use the formula that says compound interest. So I'll use A for compound interest minus the future value. Right, now this formula, if I'm writing all of it in full, I'll say the compound, I know it is P into 1 plus I to N minus the future value, of course, is going to be X into 1 plus I into N minus 1 over I. Now here you need to be very careful when you're using this formula, because when you don't understand what you're doing, then it becomes very, very terrible. Right, now here basically the values that you put in here, they matter. Right, so the P here, right, the P here that you put in there, it is the amount of a loan. Right, so it is PV. And then N here, right, N here, it is the payments already made. Right, so it shows the number of payments already made, number of payments already made. Already is the key word, already made. Now if I'm asking you for example, how many payments has Molly already made here, we can see she has already made 119. So it means it's 119 payment. Right, now what is X there? X, it is still the 10,000. So monthly payment, right, and then the N here, right, the N here, because of Molly did not miss any payment, it's gonna be exactly the same as that one. But in true essence, or in better explanation, this N, it is the payments that Molly did made. Right, if here we're saying N is the payments that already made, which means now it's the payments that the bank, they were actually anticipating that she should have been made already. Right, so let me just put that. I think that's a nice one, because this is what the bank thinks she should have made. Now she should have made. Right, but then there it is what Molly made. It's what Molly actually made. So when I say actually made, I mean that the actual number of times that she already made payments. Right, so this is to help you to understand that sometimes you can open a loan but then don't pay for a few months. Say you open a loan and then you're supposed to pay the next month, but then you start paying after 3 months. Right, so it means now when you're on month 9 of the original time you open the loan, if you're calculating your outstanding balance, this end is going to be 9, but that end is going to be 6, because you started paying when in month 4, whereas the bank thought that in month 4 you were supposed to have the 4th payment. But that's just a topic for another video. Right, so let's just focus on this one. So in this one now, that's basically that. So now here we're then going to calculate number one, we're going to look at the compound. Right, the compound interest. Right, so the compound interest part of the formula is A equals to P into 1 plus I to N. Now P is the PV, so the loan is 800,000. 1 plus interest doesn't change over 12, but then now the payments that the bank anticipate that she should have already made by now is 119. So we're going to put in the 119 there. All right, now let's go ahead and press this on a calculator. And so our answer is gonna be let's see, it's 29844, 29844, and let's see, 68,000 all right, so that is the amount when you look at it in terms of a compound. Then number 2, we're going to look at the future value. And the future value is going to be FV, which is, let me just substitute, it's going to be 10,000, 1 plus 13.35% over 12 to the power of 119, alright, over 13.35% or 12. So let's press that, the calculator. So it will be 1 plus 13.35% over 12 to the power of 119 minus 1 over 13.35% over 12. Let's see. So it is 2454 458 comma 60. All right, and then therefore the outstanding balance is going to be that 2984468, 16 minus 2454458, 60, which is 2984468.16 minus 2454, right, 458.60. This is confusing, but it is 530,009.56. So it's 530,009.56. Alright, so now that is basically how we can find the outstanding balance. And then now let's look at the second question, which is question B. Now question B says calculate the newly installment monthly. Calculate the new monthly installment, yes, Molly must pay from the 124th month to settle the loan in 200 months. All right, now to do this, basically, now this is the part that we wanted to get into, right, to explain what happens when someone misses a payment, but then now they still want to pay within that 200 months, right? So basically what happens is this. So here we calculate our outstanding balance to this amount, right? So this was up until 119th payment, but then now Molly, what happened was Molly skipped 1, 2, 3, 4 payments, right? So now the time Molly was skipping the 4 payments, the banks, do you know how they roll, right? The banks, how they roll is that first, let's say 819 payment, right? The outstanding balance was, let me just write this, 530, but I want to explain this so that you can understand how it works. 0.56, right? But then now at, let me say between 1/20th to 1/23rd, right, there was no payment. Now when there's no payment made, what the banks that do is they penalize you, so you get a penalty, right? You get a penalty for that, right? So what is that type of a penalty that we use in finance? It's a compound interest. So the minute you miss a payment after you've been paying and then you start missing a payment, what the bank do is they take the outstanding balance. They take the outstanding balance and then they compound it, right, up until the amount of payments, and then well, basically they compound it into the amount of payments that you've already missed, right, or that you're missing, right? So if you've missed 4 payments, then it means your money, your 530,009, is going to grow 4 times because you missed the payments. How many times? 4 times. 4. And then you're gonna get a new outstanding balance. So I'm gonna write this new OB, right? And then that new outstanding balance is gonna be your present value. So let's go ahead and see what is that new outstanding balance here. So the new outstanding balance will be this, right? I'm gonna take this and then let me take the answer. Oh wait, what's happening here? See, okay, all right, let me just open another one because this one is faulty. 009.56. So this one, it grows 13.35%, divided by 12, grows for 4 months, and then that becomes your what? Your new loan. Now new loan, it is 553,991, comma 49, right? You can see that it grew by how much? By 23,000 or 24,000, like in 3 months. Yeah, all right. So this becomes a new present value, and then from there, what they do is then now they then calculate your what? You calculate your new monthly installment, right? So your new monthly installment, remember now, after changing the 1/3, the 1/20th to 1/3, now you left, now here, to get to 200, we left with what? With 77 payments, right? 77 payments to be made. So now to get our new installment, that is going to be equal, right? Remember, she said that she wants to have equal monthly installment. So to get a new installment, that's going to be equal, when I use PV, which is x into 1 minus 1 plus I into minus n over I, right? And then we basically want to find x, so we're going to isolate x. So by isolating x, I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to get I times PV, which is x into 1 minus 1 plus I to minus n, and then I divide by both sides, 1 plus I into minus n, 1 minus 1 plus I to minus n, and then this cancels with that, and so the formula that I will use to find my I is going to be that over 1 minus 1 plus I to minus n, right? Now the present value here, when you substitute, you gotta be careful. 13.35%. The present value now, it is no longer 800,000, it is that amount. This is PV. Remember, it's your new present value now, your new outstanding balance, right? So it's gonna be 553,991,49 over 1 minus 1 plus 13.35% over 12 into minus payments are 77. So payments that you still need to make is 77. So plus this in our calculator. Let's see. Remember, I need a fraction. We need a fraction. You always put a bracket, then press a fraction. Don't forget that. 12 times 553,991.49, and then at the bottom we say 1 minus 1 plus fraction 13.35% over 12 to the power of minus 77. Now let's see. So our new equal payments will be 10,748.55. 10,748.55. Let's see. Double checks. Yes, and that is basically how we can calculate our newly installment payment, right? So that's basically how you do your type of questions when you miss a payment. And that is all for this video. If you liked it, please make sure that you share with your friends, and if there's anything that you wanted to find out about this video, leave that in the comment, and don't forget please to subscribe, and also to let me know what topics you would like me to do so that I can be able to generate that. And I'm going to see you on to the next one, where we're going to be doing methods of a different topic. I'm going to see you there. Cheers.